now we're going to start carving our design and our pattern out, and for this you need just to take your time. I'm going to start with these areas here, which are about the width of my lollipop stick, and that's intentional because that makes them much easier to carve into. And what I'm going to be doing in the middle here, but I'm going to use my cocktail stick for this, is I'm going to take the circular bit out. And normally I would do all the stripes first and then come back and do the circles, but I want you to get a feel for the design. So I'm very gently, very carefully just taking that out. My cocktail stick isn't going anywhere near the bottom of the board, so I don't want that to happen. And then I'm going to use the flat end. Let's wipe it free first of old bits of clay, and I'm just going to tap that down if I can. It's a little bit sticky, and I'm not pushing into the clay at the bottom, I'm just tapping it down to make sure that it's flat. And then I'm going to work on the next bit, which is this bit here. It's not a very big bit. Oops, so very carefully taking that bit out as well. So you may be wondering what I'm going to do with the circle bits and how I'm going to show that, and because I want you to start work, and there's no point you watching me do all of this, that would be silly and a waste of your time. I'm just going to wipe my fingers this time by just dipping them in the water. It's just my fingertips that are getting a bit covered in clay, not my palms, because I'm not handling all of it. So I want to show you how to make a coil. Now you may think, well, I've made those before, and you may be confident, and if so, that's great. But there are a few tricks to them that I can share with you. So to make a coil, you're going to need a piece of damp clay, and this is the clay that I put to one side earlier. I'm not making a big coil at the moment, so I don't need loads. Put that back there, and this clay is quite sticky. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll it between my hands to start with. I'm making a ball with it, because if I try and work that straight on the paper, it's just going to stick because it's quite wet. So what's happening at the moment is my hands are taking off some of the moisture, and then I'm going to turn it into, I want it to be a cylinder, so I'm going to roll it backwards and forwards. I'm going to tap the ends, roll it backwards and forwards. Now, if we roll it too much like that, I don't know if you can see, but it becomes almost like a bone. So it has ridges like finger bones, and that's not the effect that we want. So it's time to roll it on the paper. Now, often when you roll, what we tend to do is we roll unevenly, and this is a bit uneven. If I do that with it, you can see probably that it's rolling unevenly, and I can feel that it is uneven. So when that happens, you need to pick it up and have a look at it and just tap it back into shape before you roll again. Keep your hand nice and flat and you'll avoid that. What you're going to do is start with your fingers together and then push them out. Start together and push them out, together and push out. Once it gets to this length, you can start to use two hands, and when you start to do that, it's quicker and you get a much better, I nearly said bread roll. I've got grissini sticks in my head because that's what these remind me of. They remind me of Italian breadsticks. So you can see that my coil is getting long. I'm going to cut it there and about here. And some of you may have guessed what I'm going to do. Here's my Laurel Birch cat, and I'm actually going to build up this circle so it's nice and damp where I've wet it. It wants to be, I'm just working out how much I need, about that much. I'm going to just pull that apart there, bring it right round, still too long, snip a bit off. Ideally I want to get it so that these ends can join up, but I think that's still going to be a bit too big. I'm going to take that end off, it's a bit drier. Bring it round, join those up. Ah, there we go, we're about there. I'm going to use my tools now, because if I try and use my fingers, I'm going to squash it. That is already sticking really well. However, I really should have glued it, but I know that if I try and take it off now, I'm going to squish it, and that's because it is actually sticking really well. So this time I'm not going to, but normally I would glue them first, which means I would put some slip down, I would score where it's to go, and then I would glue it. So now I've got a raised area. So it's a little bit fiddly, but a lot of fun. Take your time, have patience with it. And there's that one. So now I'm going to continue. You just have to do a little bit at a time and keep going round until you've got all your lines in where you want them to be, or whatever your design is. And my tip would be to keep your design simple. Don't get too complicated. That's a bad habit that I have, of getting too complicated and trying to do things that are harder than they need to be. Alright, so there is my design, and I'm happy with that. Now you'll notice I have just stuck with one design, but I'm going to show you a really quick and easy design that you can do that's also quite a bit of fun. So for this I'm going to need the clean end to my bamboo stick. I'm also going to want some clean fingers because I don't want to drop lots of bits on my clay. And this is what I'm going to do with this area here. I'm going to take this end of my bamboo stick and I'm just going to give my cat some dots. I'm going to begin by drawing in with my bamboo skewer and that is going to create the path that the lollipop stick will take. So always try and begin with your skewer when you're doing things like this, because then it makes it much easier, as you can see, to get this in the right place. Now I want to go reasonably deep but not too far. The next bit is a little bit fiddly. Right, first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to work on these eyebrow areas with this to start with, and then the eyes. Now because of the detail here, my bamboo stick is mostly the one that I need to use. Then the nose. Again, I'm going to use my bamboo skewer. I'm going to slip it to take the excess clay away, and then draw in again, pull that down. So the last bit that I need to do are the eyes themselves, the eyeballs and the ears. And they should be quite easy to do. And then I just need to do the paws and I'm finished. When you've finished, just very carefully take a bit of slip, work over any areas that look a bit dry or not quite right or not smooth, or where you've dropped bits on it, and just tidy it up slightly. And it will be ready to sit and dry off, ready for painting next week.